Welcome to AMD Radeon RAMDisk. Today we're going to talk about using RAMDisk for optimizing software development. Okay, we're going to start off by configuring the RAMDisk utility. Today we're using the paid version for a couple of reasons. Number one, that provides us access to much larger disks, which we're going to need for this kind of work. And the other reason is it provides us access to important features that are going to save us a ton of time as we start using the software. So right now I've pulled it up with the default settings, and we're going to go ahead and first off click Unformatted Partition because we want to create a large RAM disk, and I want to use NTFS, which I'll show you how to use later. Alright, so starting off we're going to go ahead and create a 10 gigabyte disk. I'm using that size just because it's plenty large enough for the work I'm doing. You may need to make a larger disk. Okay, now that we've got that selected, we're going to go to the Load and Save tab. Now here are several features that are available only in the paid version, namely the load in background and background update settings. Those are very important because they're going to save you a ton of time in day-to-day use in the software. I'll explain them as we select them. So first off, we're going to click Load Disk Image at Startup. What that's going to do is when you start the RAM disk, it's going to go to this file and preload that image. This will happen when you start your computer automatically or when you start the program manually. Now, if this file exists, it's actually going to load whatever file is in there, regardless of what your settings are over here. So if you had set a 10 gig disk, for example, but you have this set to load another image, which maybe is a 4 gig disk, it's going to load the 4 gig disks, which might be a little bit confusing. So what we want to do is actually select that, and if this file exists, it'll just go ahead and tell us nothing. But if it does not exist, it'll give us this message, the file does not exist, which is good because we want to create a brand new disk using the size we selected in the prior screen. Now you notice when I selected that, it automatically selected load in background. This is a great feature because when this is now enabled, you start your computer up, the RAM disk is instantly available with no delays. But it's in the background preloading your entire RAM disk as you're going about your work. So it's completely transparent. You have no delays on startup anymore. The other feature we have here is the Save Disk Image on Shutdown feature, which kind of pairs with this. It's really important to have both these selected. So I'll select that one. And in addition to that, I want to do background update. Okay? And this is just informing me that that disk image doesn't exist yet either, which is great. Now once I select that, this goes away because we no longer need to save disk image on background. It is going to be continually updating the image as we work. This does not slow down your RAM disk. It just keeps the backup as up to date as possible as you work. And then when you go to shut down, there's no long wait for the entire disk image to save on shutdown. Furthermore, it only saves changes to your disk. So if you've worked on a very large disk and you've made only minor changes to it, it'll keep it up to date and save just those changes without having to rewrite a ton of data. So that's it. That's all we have to set in the RAM disk, and now all we have to do is just press start. And the RAM disk has started successfully. Now you notice nothing else really happened here in the system. So that's because we've created an unformatted disk and that we have to go format, which I will show you how to do next. Okay, the first thing we want to do is go ahead and format that disk that we just created. So go to your Start menu and select My Computer and right-click and click Manage. That will pull up this management window. Select Disk Management. And when you do that, you'll see this Initialize Disk dialog come up. That's because we just created a new disk, and you can hit OK. And now that disk is initialized, and it's this disk right here. And you can check that by verifying it's the size that we just created. We're very close to that size because the operating system is going to use some of that space. So what you want to do is then right-click in this space and create a new simple volume. And that just brings up this wizard that we'll click through. And we'll go ahead and type in here RAM disk. And hit Next. And Finish. Now we have a formatted disk, and that will pop up this autoplay dialog, which we don't need. We'll go ahead and close that. And we're done configuring the RAM disk for use. So now that we have the RAM disk configured, we can go ahead and start using it to accelerate the development process. Here's a list of areas where RAM disk can be most helpful. You can use RAM disk for your primary build directory and compile directories. This will speed up both of these processes very well. You can also use RAM disk for your automated test directory and files. In addition to that, if you have a database associated with your software, you can use RAM disk for that to accelerate access there. That's very beneficial. And of course, you can use RAM disk in your temp space and workspace directories as required by your software. When used in this manner, RAMDisk can be a very effective tool for reducing your overall build, compile, and test times. So thank you for watching today. Please be sure to visit us at radionmemory.com.